South Africa's a difficult place. Terrible crime, some of the worst murder rates in the world. And yet these guys dig their heels in, laugh, like I just said, at all their problems, and put their head down and work. It's an interesting modality.
Okay. I have an Afrikaner friend from South Africa. He's moved to the UAE. And I think he's from like interior South Africa. And he was telling me how there's a lot of tension between communities right now.
Oh, tons.
And there's some very intense crimes happening towards the Afrikaners.
Yeah.
Like I've heard stories about basically, so I believe that there's a lot of Afrikaner families that own land and farms.
Yeah,
in
tons.
the interiors of South Africa. Some of them are being attacked by other communities, and all the family members are being brutally killed. Like where he said that there's a culture of taking boiling oil and making a baby drink it.
I'm sure. That's what happened where I grew up.
Really?
Yeah, that's how my family got to America. We were refugees leaving Zimbabwe. So in the early 2000s, the Robert Mugabe regime, the ZANU-PF political party, needed a scapegoat to try and regain power, to remain in power. Robert Mugabe did, because he declared himself president for life, which went against the Constitution. And so in order to maintain power, he had to funnel blame to somebody. So what did he do? He funneled blame to the white people that were living in Zimbabwe, just calling it what it was, and primarily the white farmers for taking all of the resources of the country. And so it created this whole, and I grew up with more black friends than white friends, and it created this whole racial tension. And it's, you're saying communities, but really, at least in South Africa and Zimbabwe, it was black and white, quite simply. And it was really awful, because friends I'd had my whole childhood who, we didn't pretend we didn't see color. Like, I knew he was black and he knew I was white, but we didn't care. We were still best friends, and it didn't affect how we talked to each other. America's very different, where they pretend that everybody's the same, even though you can see physical differences or whatever. This was very different the way I grew up, which was, yeah, you're black, I'm white. Like, you eat sadza and I eat rice. Who cares? Like, I'll come to your house and enjoy your life, and you come to my house and enjoy my life, and we're all friends. And that's how I grew up. And then in 2001, when I was 13 years old, all this racial stuff started that I had never experienced as a child. And I didn't understand as a child, because I was 13 years old. And it was adults, not kids like me, that were going through it. But it affected the kids, because all of a sudden there was all this tension between black communities and white communities. And then my family we had a very small farm, but we lived on a farm in Zimbabwe, and all the farms around us got taken, not by the friends we'd had or anything like that, the ZANU-PF political party that I mentioned earlier. And there was punguis, which is indoctrination to the political party through torture. Friends got murdered. I was in shootout. At 14 years old, I was in shootouts. I mean,
Really?
Things were crazy. Yeah, and then we fled the country.
What kind of torture was happening?
Everything. I mean, driving nails through feet and hanging people in front of their children. And I mean, all kinds of things. They're called punguis, was what it was called. It was an indoctrination to the ZANU-PF political party through the process of torture.
What's the current state of that political party and Zimbabwe in general?
The current state of that political party is, I don't even know how to explain it. It's peaceful now. It's not like it was. But what's happened was Zimbabwe went from a very wealthy place with no poverty and really very little crime, and like I explained, no racism, at least none that I experienced as a child, to being very similar to what your friend has explained, where South Africa is now, except the community of white farmers in Zimbabwe is very, very small. So they got basically shoved out very quickly. The violence has gone away, but the country is shattered because of it, because it's incredibly poor. Their currency completely collapsed. The Zimbabwean dollar collapsed. Farming is very difficult. Everything works on cash deals. Banking systems are a disaster. Flights are a disaster. Roads are basically non-existent. Like, all the infrastructure of the country collapsed due to that basically race war that took place over those years. And it displaced everybody, not just white people who, we were very privileged. I'm not going to pretend we weren't, but it not just displaced us, but now there is hunger, there is poverty, it's awful. Like, for the average person, there used to be a very substantial middle class in Zimbabwe, financial middle class. Now there isn't one.
Where did they all go eventually?
Who?
Like the people who were dispersed, like you said, you were a refugee.
Everywhere. We went to America. I have lots of friends who went to South Africa, lots of friends who went to Botswana, Mozambique, Australia, New Zealand, tons to the UK, basically wherever your family had roots, you tried to go back to. My dad was an American, so I was lucky enough to have American passport so we could go to America.
Has it still left scars?
Probably ones that I don't realize, but at least for me, look, there were real hard, difficult things that we went through. Losing everything overnight. My dog, my family, my friends, disappearing, running away from the country, guns in our faces, the whole thing. I wouldn't trade it for a single thing, not one thing, because it has made me what I think is very strong today. It's made me very successful in what I do with a career. I don't know if it's contributed or hindered, but I have a loving, beautiful wife, 2 beautiful kids, strong family. And I think a lot of that is because I went through what I went through as a kid. So I wouldn't trade it.
That Africana in you came out right now.
There you go.
Man.
Yeah.
Why was your dog taken away?
It wasn't, but we had to flee to America. And so I distinctly remember driving down our driveway. We had because we lived on a farm, so we had a long, kilometer-long driveway. And my dog would always run to the gate and follow me till I went to school. And I remember crying my eyes out because my dog was it's your dog. And I remember watching my dog run to the gate, and I closed the gate, and I was never coming home. And that was it. I never saw my dog again. And lots of friends and everything else, it's just gone like that.
I just wish I could take a time machine and go back and say you have a brother in India. But I'm sorry I'm taking you back here, man.
No, I don't mind at all. It doesn't bother me. I'm not negatively affected by it. I know what I've been through. And like I say, I wouldn't trade it for anything because I think it's made me very strong.
You saw some messed up things as well?
Oh, yeah. Saw people get shot. We got shot at. We would see people. So the people they were indoctrinating through torture, the Punguis, were not the white farmers. They were the people that worked on the farms and the local people who loved working with the farmers and everything because they wanted to turn them against the farmers. So I remember seeing our security guard got captured and tortured, and he couldn't walk because they had broken every bone in his feet. And I remember being 12 years old and finding the guy who would work the saw, because we didn't have electric saws or anything, hanging from a tree by his neck, dead. We saw some very graphic things in those year or so where we were trying to hold out.
What does it do to a child's mind?
It made me very angry because even when they came to take our farm, I wanted to fight. And my mom said, get in the car, we're leaving. And we left. And then when we moved to America, we went into government housing because we had no money because the currency had collapsed. So we went into welfare housing. I wanted to fight everybody. I was angry and I wanted to fight and I wanted to fight, but I had no one to fight. You know what I mean? There was no one in Oakland, California, where we were in government housing that had anything to do with what I had been through. But I was just an angry teenager for a while.
Really?
Very angry. And you can see I'm not really like that. And then I found the ocean in California, which was the most wild part of California where I was living. And I found my peace again by reconnecting with nature.
How long did this take? You resettling your own head?
Honestly, I'm probably still doing that because I still play rugby and I'm nearly 40 years old, and I'm playing with 20-year-olds and they hit very hard when you're 40 years old. But I need that outlet. I don't know that I'm angry about what happened, but it took a long time. I got in trouble a lot. I got arrested. I wasn't doing anything bad, but I was just angry and I was picking fights and I was getting in trouble and I was breaking laws, mostly harmless laws, because in Africa, there aren't as many laws as the US, but things like, jumping from roof to roof or sneaking beer into school when I was a kid and just nonsense things, harmless things, having a pocket knife on me at school. I wasn't going to stab anybody. Now in America, it's crazy, if you had a knife at school, but this was 20 years ago. I just had a knife because I like carrying a knife and things like that. So I was in trouble and I was angry and I was fighting. And then, I'd say until my 20s, I sort of held on to this and then it just sort of went away.
If you considered ayahuasca or psychedelic mushrooms or anything like that to deal with?
Not really, because I don't think I'm dealing with it. Maybe I am, but I don't feel like I am.
You're one of the nicest guys I've met in my life.
Oh, thank you.
If you don't mind us taking a tiny tangent,
no,
I just
please.
want to read out this one post I came across on Instagram.
Yeah, but I've never tried mushrooms. I've never done a ayahuasca thing. That's not true, actually. When I was in Peru, They were doing a very similar to ayahuasca thing. You pour it in the nose.
Right.
Do you know what it is?
Hape or rape.
Yes, that's right. And now we were part of a blessing. And so I had like a little drop in my nose.
Yeah.
And it burned, but it didn't do anything.
It's like wasabi in your nose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did it change anything? Did it shift? No, right?
I did it to be respectful because they were doing big amounts of it. And I basically just did a little sip and then passed it on because I was there working with bears. I didn't exactly want to lose my mind, but I was doing the blessing.
In Peru.
Spectacled bears, yeah.
Spectacle bears.
Uh-huh. You know Paddington Bear?
No.
Oh, Paddington Bear is like a popular cartoon, The Spectacles,
Okay.
based on spectacled bears, the only bear in South America.
Are they small?
Smaller, yeah. Yeah.
Like the Indian sloth bear?
Smaller. Smallest bear. Yeah. No, sun bear is the smallest, but they're small.
Okay. So this post randomly popped up on my feed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it says, a disciplined person was once hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
A person with a loving heart was once lustful. A humble person was once prideful. A hardworking person was once lazy. A grateful person once took everything for granted. A calm person was once filled with rage. Every strength you see in someone today was born from struggle. Every quality you admire came from a battle they had to fight within themselves. Growth doesn't appear out of nowhere. It comes from facing who you were and choosing to become someone better. The parts you dislike now can become the very traits you're most proud of tomorrow. Oh my God.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. And I think to go back to our much earlier point in the conversation, that's where going in nature teaches you these things. Disconnecting teaches you these things.
Human evolution.
Do you know what makes evolution? Evolution is a derivative of change. Evolution, you only evolve when you have to evolve, whether that's a crocodile or your own mentality or your spirituality. Evolution is a derivative of necessity. It is derived by change. You can only change when you challenge yourself. If you stay in a state of comfort all the time, sedated by your phone, staring at a screen, sitting in a nice, cozy building, you have no necessity to evolve.
I think there's a Dragon Ball Z quote that goes, growth is an outcome of need, not desire.
There you go. That's true.
Oof.
Yeah.
Same thought.
Same thing. Means the same thing.
Is that what you teach your kids as well?
My kids are too little to understand that, but I teach my kids that they shouldn't stay in comfort. My son's 5 years old. I made him trek all night in Costa Rica in the jungle. He goes to bed at 7:30 at night, like every 5-year-old. When we were in Costa Rica, I made him walk from 6 o'clock in the evening until almost 4 a.m. all night. And he loved it because we were finding lizards and snakes and everything else, but I made him do it. Daddy, I'm tired. Daddy, it's hot. Daddy, I want to go to bed. No, you cannot go to bed because this is what we're doing tonight. You cannot be comfortable. You're not going to be comfortable all your life. Do you want to learn to find that snake? Do you want to learn to see the waterfall at the end of the walk? Then we're going all night. And I teach my kids that they cannot stay in a state of comfort always because life is not comfortable.
Man, dude, how did your family make the money back?
They didn't really. Yeah, we struggled for a very long time. We're on welfare. You know, welfare in the U.S. is government funding. We're on welfare for a long time. My mom got a job as a waitress, for a long time, or a while, not a long time. And eventually we got a little bit of money out of Zimbabwe. When I say a little bit, I mean a few $1,000s. We were very, very poor and worked very hard. And, I started a business in college and I sold that business. And then I started another small business and grew that business. Now I own a production company and I take care of my family. And it's been a lot of work. Yeah.
Do you still feel poor?
I've never felt poor, ever.
Really?
I grew up quite wealthy in Zimbabwe, and then we lost everything to the point of not having a present at Christmas, not having a Christmas, other things too. And I've never felt poor, ever. I've never felt, I feel rich in life experiences. And that's the only thing that matters to me. Yeah, I don't care about material things very much. Yeah.
I think that's what a tough beginning teaches you.
Yeah.
You start valuing experiences over the material.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time for people to get there.
And I think if you grow up in a consumerism society, which I did as well, and everybody does nowadays, you place value in material items. I would rather take a weekend to go on a camping trip with you than the nicest Ferrari in the world. You know what I mean? Like, is the Ferrari cooler? Absolutely. Does it go faster? Totally. Am I going to care about that and remember that Ferrari and have the same feelings as going camping in the Andes with you for a weekend in 20 years? Am I going to talk about that Ferrari to my kids, my grandkids? Absolutely not. Am I talk about the time we went to the Andes and stayed in a high mountain village? 100%. That's much more valuable to me. And I like nice things. I'm not pretending I don't. This is a nice shirt. I love this shirt with toucans. But it's not as valuable to me as the experience.